How to force yourself to build wealth slowly. That's the hardest lesson most people never learn. Everyone wants fast success. Everyone wants the shortcut. But the truth is, real wealth is built in silence, through years of invisible discipline, daily patience, and relentless consistency. It is not luck, it is not timing, it is not a secret formula. It is the quiet decision to keep planting seeds when no one is watching, and to keep watering them even when nothing seems to grow. The truth is, building wealth is not about money. It is about who you become while earning it. The discipline, the restraint, the vision, that is the real wealth. Every dollar you save, every habit you repeat, every temptation you resist is a small act of power. And one day, when everyone else is still chasing the next big thing, you'll realize that you've been building something permanent all along. This audiobook will show you how to master that patience, how to trust the process, and how to stay consistent long enough to watch time work for you instead of against you. So take a deep breath, slow down, and prepare to learn the quiet art of becoming rich the right way, one disciplined day at a time. Chapter 1. The War Between Fast and Slow. How to force yourself to build wealth slowly begins with understanding the war that lives inside every person who dreams of success. It is the quiet battle between patience and impatience, between wanting results now and being willing to wait for them. Every generation has fallen into this trap, believing that wealth should come quickly if they just find the right secret, the right opportunity, the right moment. But there is no secret. There is only process. The faster you try to rush the process, the more you push wealth away. The slower you move with discipline, the more life begins to multiply what you have already planted. Most people lose the war before they even begin. They chase shortcuts because the world glorifies speed. They see people online flashing success that looks instant. They see numbers that seem to appear overnight, businesses that explode, and lives that seem perfect. They compare that illusion to their slow, quiet struggle and feel like they are behind. But what they are looking at is only the surface. Every true story of wealth, every person who built something lasting, spent years underground, years being ignored, doubted, and unseen. The roots of wealth grow in silence long before the world sees the tree. When you force yourself to slow down, something incredible happens. You start to see how much power there is in patience. You start to understand that every small effort is a seed. You stop expecting the harvest before the planting is done. You stop needing to feel progress every second. The truth is, progress rarely feels exciting in real time. It feels repetitive, sometimes invisible, and often unrewarding. But that is exactly where transformation begins. Building wealth slowly is not about doing less. It is about doing what matters most for longer than most people can handle. It's about learning to delay gratification and train your mind to find peace in effort instead of results. People fail not because they lack intelligence or opportunity, but because they cannot stand the feeling of waiting. They confuse speed with progress. They chase stimulation instead of mastery. Patience is not natural. It must be trained like a muscle. The world you live in teaches you the opposite. It rewards immediate pleasure and punishes silence. It tells you that you are wasting time if you are not producing fast results. But that message is poison to anyone who wants to build something real. Slow success is built by people who have mastered the art of stillness in a world addicted to motion. When you decide to build wealth slowly, you are choosing strength over comfort. You are choosing to sacrifice the illusion of being ahead for the truth of becoming grounded. Fast money builds ego. Slow money builds character. The habits that grow wealth are boring, repetitive, and consistent. You will not always feel inspired. You will not always see immediate results, but one day you will look back and realize that every small, unseen action was stacking a foundation that no one could see but you. There is a kind of power that only time can reveal. You cannot fake it, rush it, or shortcut it. The person who forces themselves to slow down eventually surpasses the one who never stops chasing. Because when you slow down, you start doing things right. You stop wasting effort on distractions. You start refining your craft, managing your energy, and investing with clarity instead of impulse. You stop reacting to opportunity and start creating it. The war between fast and slow also lives in your emotions. The fast path feels exciting. It gives instant validation. The slow path feels uncertain. It forces you to confront your doubts, your impatience, and your ego. But inside that discomfort lies wisdom. When you no longer need fast results to feel worthy, you become unstoppable. You start playing the long game that most people quit before it begins. Think about how wealth actually works. Every form of growth in nature takes time. Trees do not rush to grow taller. Rivers do not rush to reach the sea. Seasons do not skip their cycles. Everything that lasts is built on patience. But humans, in their fear of falling behind, try to cheat nature. They try to plant and harvest in the same day. Then they wonder why nothing grows. To force yourself to build wealth slowly, you must fall in love with consistency more than reward. You must begin to enjoy the process of becoming the kind of person who earns wealth, not just dreams of having it. The slow path teaches you discipline, humility, and focus. It forces you to face your habits, your emotions, and your decisions with honesty. It builds something inside you that no external success can give, peace. The slow path also gives you freedom. When you move with patience, you stop reacting to the world's noise. You are no longer pulled by trends, opinions, or fear. You learn to trust your plan. You learn that results built on patience cannot be taken from you. The person who moves slowly but consistently will always outlast the person who moves quickly but carelessly. You will be tempted to quit many times. There will be days when it feels like nothing is working. That is when the test begins. The world is built to distract you, to make you crave the easy path. But if you can hold your ground during those moments, you will start to see what most never experience. You will begin to feel the calm of progress. You will realize that mastery feels quiet, not loud. Growth feels steady, not thrilling. The war between fast and slow will never fully disappear. It will whisper in your mind every time you see someone else succeed quickly. It will try to convince you that you are falling behind, but the truth is, you are exactly where you need to be. Every small, consistent action you take is a victory. Every day you stay patient, you move further ahead than you think. At its core, wealth is not about money. It is about control, the control to choose how you spend your time, your energy, and your life. That control cannot be built fast. It is earned through discipline and years of alignment between thought and action. The faster you chase, the more control you lose. The slower you build, the stronger you become. The day you stop rushing is the day you start rising. Because slow is not weak. Slow is deliberate. Slow is wise. Slow is where wealth truly begins. You do not need to move faster. You only need to move with purpose and never stop. When you learn to win the war between fast and slow, you will discover that patience was never holding you back. It was preparing you to handle everything you were meant to receive. Chapter 2. The Power of Compound Discipline. Discipline works like interest in a bank account. It compounds silently, growing through small, consistent actions that seem insignificant at first, but become unstoppable over time. Most people never experience the true power of compound discipline because they underestimate the value of doing something small every day. They want dramatic change, not steady growth. They want big leaps, not quiet steps. Yet all great transformations begin in silence. Every wealthy person, every master of a craft, every builder of legacy began with ordinary habits performed with extraordinary consistency. The problem is that the mind is not designed for patience. It loves visible results. It craves the rush of progress. When you start building wealth, the first few months often feel unrewarding. You save a little, you invest a little, you work hard but see almost nothing change. The numbers look small, the effort feels larger than the gain. That is when most people quit. They never stay long enough to experience the compounding effect. They break the cycle before it begins to multiply. Discipline compounds the same way interest does. On day 1, it feels meaningless. On day 100, it feels natural. On day 1000, it becomes identity. Every time you stay consistent, you reinforce a mental pattern that says, "I follow through." That belief grows stronger each time you act. Soon, discipline is no longer something you force. It becomes who you are. And once it becomes identity, wealth becomes automatic. Think of your habits like seeds. One seed by itself looks small and powerless, but if you plant it and water it every day, it eventually grows roots that no storm can pull out. Most people scatter seeds for a few days, see no progress, and stop watering them. The soil looks the same, so they assume nothing is happening. What they cannot see is the growth happening beneath the surface. The roots are forming, the system is strengthening, and momentum is building invisibly. Then one day, the plant breaks through the soil and everyone calls it luck. But it was never luck, it was compound discipline at work. The secret to compound discipline is repetition without emotion. You cannot rely on how you feel. You must rely on your standards. The brain will always look for comfort. It will always suggest easier paths. But every time you act when you do not feel like it, you build resistance to weakness. Each act of self-control adds another layer to your foundation. Over time, that foundation becomes so strong that even when motivation disappears, momentum carries you forward. Building wealth slowly is not about grinding endlessly. It is about building systems that make success automatic. You do not need to make massive progress every day. You only need to avoid breaking your pattern. Doing a little bit every day is infinitely more powerful than doing a lot once in a while. Because when you stay in motion, you never lose the rhythm. The moment you stop, the weight of restarting grows heavier. Compounding also changes your perception of time. Most people underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years, but overestimate what they can achieve in 1. They burn out chasing unrealistic speed, and then they quit because it feels impossible. But those who understand compounding think differently. They know that consistency multiplies outcomes in ways the human mind cannot calculate. A single disciplined year might not change your life, but 10 will rewrite your entire reality. Consider how compound discipline applies to money itself. A small, consistent investment grows exponentially because of time. The same is true for your habits, your focus, and your skill. Every time you improve, even slightly, the improvement compounds. Reading 10 pages a day turns into hundreds of books. Saving $10 a day turns into tens of thousands. Exercising for 20 minutes a day turns into a strong, capable body that serves you for decades. What matters is not how much you do at once, but how often you do it without stopping. The greatest mistake people make is underestimating the value of small progress. They look for intensity instead of consistency, but intensity fades. Consistency builds. When you force yourself to show up daily, even for a short time, you are proving to yourself that your word matters. You are training your subconscious to expect effort, not avoidance. That shift changes everything. There will be days when progress feels invisible. You will question whether it is working. You will feel the pull to take shortcuts or to compare your slow climb to someone else's highlight reel. But remember, compound discipline works quietly. Its rewards are delayed but permanent. Fast progress fades because it is built on emotion. Slow progress lasts because it is built on truth. The person who masters compound discipline does not chase opportunity, they attract it. They become dependable. They build trust in themselves and from others. People begin to see them as consistent, stable, and powerful. That reputation opens doors that impatience could never reach. You begin to create a gravity around your name, a quiet authority that says, this person does what they say. That is real wealth. Every action you take either compounds or decays. Every day, you are making a deposit or a withdrawal from your future. You can choose to give in to comfort and lose momentum, or you can stay consistent and let time multiply your efforts. The formula never changes. Small effort plus long time equals massive results. If you learn to trust the compounding process, you will no longer crave quick wins. You will crave consistency. You will fall in love with progress itself. Because once you understand how discipline compounds, you realize that wealth is not something you chase. It is something you earn, quietly, through the daily choices no one else sees. You will stop needing to prove it and start living it. And that is when the slow path becomes the only path worth walking. Chapter 3. Detaching from the illusion of speed. The greatest enemy of lasting wealth is not poverty, it is impatience. The modern world has convinced people that speed equals success. Everything is measured in quick returns, overnight growth, and viral results. The faster something happens, the more valuable it seems. But this obsession with speed destroys the very foundation that true wealth is built on. Speed promises control, but it delivers chaos. The illusion of fast success blinds people to the reality that everything meaningful in life takes time. You are surrounded by messages that glorify instant achievement. They tell you that you can become wealthy in 30 days, that you can transform your life overnight if you simply work harder, hustle longer, or buy the right course. These promises are seductive because they appeal to the part of you that fears falling behind. But here is the truth most people never learn. Nothing permanent is built quickly. Speed might create flashes of success, but it also creates cracks that eventually collapse everything you built. When you chase speed, you are chasing validation. You are trying to prove something to yourself, to others, or to the world. You measure progress by how fast you can see results instead of how deeply you can build roots. And when the results do not appear right away, you feel like a failure. That feeling is what keeps millions of people trapped in cycles of quitting and restarting. They do not fail because they are incapable. They fail because they keep changing direction before their effort has time to bear fruit. Detaching from the illusion of speed is not easy. It means going against everything you were taught. It means being okay with silence, with slow progress, with the feeling that nothing is happening even when everything is. The mind resists that silence because it confuses movement with meaning. But when you slow down and detach from the constant need for results, you start to see the truth. You realize that progress is not something you chase. It is something that grows naturally from discipline. Think about the seasons of life. Nothing in nature grows all year long. There are seasons for planting, for growing, for pruning, and for rest. Each one is necessary. The illusion of speed makes you believe that you can skip these cycles, that you can plant and harvest at the same time. But that impatience kills growth. Real wealth, whether financial or personal, follows rhythm, not rush. You must honor the seasons. You must trust that slow growth is not wasted time, it is foundation. When you detach from speed, you begin to operate from clarity. You stop chasing trends. You stop comparing your timeline to someone else's highlight reel. You start thinking long-term, and when you think long-term, your decisions change. You no longer seek the biggest return tomorrow. You seek the smartest return 10 years from now. You begin to protect your energy instead of spending it on every new idea that looks promising. That shift alone can change your entire life. The truth is, speed creates anxiety. It forces your brain into survival mode, where every moment feels like a deadline and every small setback feels like disaster. But patience creates confidence. When you trust time, you stop rushing choices. You begin to make decisions from strength instead of fear. Wealth requires this kind of calm. Money is simply a reflection of how well you manage your emotions over time. Impatience is expensive. Every bad decision you have ever made came from the desire to rush a result. Slowing down is not about being passive. It is about being precise. When you slow down, you gain control. You notice patterns. You see opportunities that speed would have hidden from you. The calm mind always sees further than the anxious one, and that distance is where true wealth is found. The most successful people in any field are not the fastest. They are the most focused. They build quietly, often unnoticed, while everyone else burns out chasing instant success. There will be times when you feel tempted to go back to the fast lane. You will see others rise quickly and believe you are behind. That is the illusion talking. Most of what you see is temporary. People who rise overnight often fall the same way because they built with emotion instead of patience. They tried to skip the part where character is formed. But you cannot cheat time. It will always collect its debt. Detaching from speed also changes how you see failure. When you move slowly, failure loses its power. You start to see it as feedback, not finality. You have time to adjust, to learn, to improve. There is no panic because you are not racing against anyone. You are simply improving at your own pace. That mindset is what allows steady builders to outlast everyone else. They may not look impressive today, but give them enough time and they will own everything they worked for. The illusion of speed is everywhere because it sells hope. But real hope is not found in shortcuts. It is found in faith. The faith that what you are doing matters, even when no one sees it. Every small effort compounds quietly until it becomes impossible to ignore. The day you stop needing to prove how fast you can move is the day you start building something that lasts. Detach from the rush, detach from the noise, detach from the timeline that says you are behind. You are not behind. You are simply growing at the pace your purpose requires. The illusion of speed will fade, but the results of patience will remain. In the end, the ones who take their time always win because they never stop. They let time become their partner instead of their enemy. And that partnership is where real wealth begins, not in the speed of your rise, but in the strength of your foundation. Chapter 4. The Boring Path to Freedom. If you study the lives of the wealthy, the disciplined, and the truly free, you will notice something they all share. Their lives look boring from the outside. There are no constant thrills, no wild swings, no obsession with new things. They live in rhythm. They repeat the same habits, follow the same schedule, and build the same way every day. To most people that sounds dull, but that dullness is the foundation of freedom. The boring path is the one that lasts. The reason so many people fail to build wealth is not that they lack talent or opportunity. It is that they cannot stand the silence of repetition. They crave stimulation. They want to feel progress every moment, and when they do not, they abandon the process for something new. They chase excitement instead of results. But excitement fades quickly, while discipline compounds quietly. The boring path is not exciting, but it is effective. It demands patience, persistence, and a willingness to embrace simplicity. Freedom is born from boredom, because boredom is a sign that you are doing something consistent. When you find yourself repeating the same healthy actions every day, your mind starts to resist. It whispers that you deserve a break, that you need something fresh, that you are missing out. But this voice is not truth, it is temptation disguised as logic. Every time you listen to it, you restart the process. Every time you ignore it and stay the course, you grow stronger. Wealth is not created through one grand decision. It is built through thousands of small, predictable choices that stack over time. Most of those choices are invisible. No one praises you for skipping an unnecessary purchase or putting money aside. No one celebrates you for staying home to work instead of spending the evening on distractions, but these choices accumulate quietly until they become unstoppable. Every simple decision builds structure. Every routine builds reliability. That is the core of wealth, predictable actions done repeatedly with purpose. The boring path also builds peace. When your days follow structure, your mind relaxes. You stop living in chaos because you no longer have to decide what to do next. Routine eliminates uncertainty, and uncertainty is what drains energy. Every person who has achieved mastery has learned to trust routine. Artists, athletes, builders, investors, they all live by rhythm. They understand that creativity and freedom come after structure, not before it. The truth is, the boring path is not truly boring. It only feels that way to those who are addicted to constant stimulation. The more disciplined you become, the more meaning you find in the simple things. You begin to appreciate progress that others overlook. You find joy in the small wins, in the quiet growth that happens when no one else is watching. That joy is real because it is earned. It is not borrowed from quick pleasure or distraction. When you live by structure, you start to see how much of life's noise is unnecessary. You realize that most of the world is chasing entertainment instead of fulfillment. People run from silence because silence forces them to confront who they are. But in that silence, you discover your strength. The boring path gives you time to think, to observe, to plan. It teaches you how to delay reward and how to move with purpose instead of emotion. Building wealth slowly through discipline is like climbing a mountain one step at a time. The climb is repetitive, the air gets thin, the view does not change much at first, but every step takes you higher, even if it does not feel like it. The people who rush the climb burn out halfway up. The people who embrace the rhythm eventually reach the summit. They arrive not because they sprinted, but because they refused to stop. There will be moments when the boredom feels heavy. You will question whether you are wasting your time. You will wonder if there is an easier way. But those moments are tests. They are proof that you are on the right path. If it feels too exciting, too fast, too easy, you are probably not building something that will last. The slow, repetitive path is where strength, wisdom, and freedom are forged. Freedom is not having nothing to do. It is having the power to choose what you do, and that power is earned through discipline. When you master your habits, you master your time. When you master your time, you master your life. That is what the boring path gives you: control. It is the control to live on your terms, to make decisions from peace instead of panic, and to enjoy the rewards that others never earn because they quit too soon. So the next time your life feels repetitive, do not run from it. Recognize it as a sign that you are building something real. The excitement of chaos might feel good for a moment, but the calm of mastery lasts forever. The boring path may look plain, but it is the only one that leads to freedom. Because real freedom is not about escaping discipline. It is about becoming so consistent that you never need to escape anything again. Chapter 5. Identity over income. Wealth is not the number in your account. It is the person you must become to earn and protect that number. Money is only a mirror that reflects the habits, values, and identity you have built. That is why so many people can gain wealth quickly, but lose it just as fast. They change their income without changing who they are. The truth is that income follows identity. If you want wealth that lasts, you must stop chasing numbers and start shaping your character. Identity is the invisible engine behind every result in your life. It dictates how you think, how you act, and what you believe you deserve. The poor mindset says, "If I had more money, I would change my life." The wealthy mindset says, "If I change myself, money will follow." This simple shift in focus separates the temporary achievers from the consistent builders. You cannot build lasting wealth from the outside in. It must grow from the inside out. Your habits are proof of your identity. Every choice you make is a vote for the kind of person you believe yourself to be. If you see yourself as someone who is careless with money, you will always find a way to spend it. If you see yourself as someone who is disciplined and intentional, your decisions will align with that truth. The goal is not to act rich. It is to become the kind of person who naturally creates and keeps wealth because their behavior makes it inevitable. Identity-based wealth requires awareness. You must look honestly at how you see yourself. Do you secretly believe that money is scarce? Do you feel guilty when you earn more? Do you sabotage progress because success feels uncomfortable? These beliefs live beneath the surface, shaping your reality in ways you do not notice. You cannot fix what you refuse to see. Building wealth begins by confronting these hidden scripts and replacing them with new beliefs that serve your future. This transformation is not easy. It requires you to stop chasing quick wins and start asking deeper questions. Who do I want to become? What kind of person makes decisions with confidence and clarity? What would that version of me do today? When you ask these questions often enough, you begin to act differently. You no longer look for shortcuts because you realize that every shortcut weakens the foundation of who you are becoming. The truth is that most people want wealth without transformation. They want the rewards of discipline without the discomfort of growth. But you cannot hold what you are not ready for. If you suddenly gained everything you wanted without changing your mindset, it would slip away. That is why identity must come first. The person you are will always find a way to return to what feels familiar. If chaos feels familiar, you will recreate chaos. If stability feels familiar, you will build peace. To build wealth slowly and permanently, you must practice identity alignment. Every small decision must reinforce the story you are writing about yourself. When you save money, you are not just saving dollars. You are proving that you are responsible. When you work on your craft daily, you are not just improving skill. You are proving that you are disciplined. When you invest instead of spending, you are proving that you think long-term. These small proofs build identity, and identity builds wealth. The mistake most people make is separating who they are from what they do. They believe they can act wealthy without becoming disciplined. They believe they can succeed without changing their thinking. But action without belief is temporary. You can force behavior for a while, but if it conflicts with your identity, you will always return to the old pattern. Sustainable wealth comes from merging action and belief into one. You do not have to act like someone else. You must simply act like the highest version of yourself. As you strengthen this new identity, your external world begins to shift naturally. Opportunities find you because your energy attracts them. You become a person people trust. You become the kind of individual who does not need to chase success because success starts to flow in your direction. That is not luck, it is alignment. You are living in sync with your values, and that consistency builds momentum that compounds over time. Eventually, the number in your bank account will grow, but by then, it will not define you. You will understand that wealth is not the goal. It is a result. You will have built something stronger than income. You will have built identity capital, the invisible foundation that keeps everything together when circumstances change. Markets can collapse, jobs can disappear, but who you are cannot be taken away. The process of building identity over income is slow, but it is unbreakable. Every day you reinforce your values, you are investing in something that appreciates forever. The world rewards those who are consistent, patient, and principled. You cannot fake these qualities for long. They must become who you are. When they do, money becomes the easiest part of your life because it follows the structure you have already built within. Identity over income is the ultimate lesson in self-mastery. It is understanding that wealth is not about what you possess, but about what you embody. The money you earn is simply a reflection of the discipline, integrity, and patience you live by. If you focus on who you are becoming, the income will always catch up. The question is not how to make more, but how to become more. Because once your identity grows stronger than your circumstances, there is nothing left to chase. There is only more to become. Chapter 6. The Habit of Saving and Delaying Pleasure. Building wealth begins with a simple truth. You must learn to delay pleasure. Every person who has ever built lasting success learned how to trade what they want now for what they want most. It is not a skill taught in schools. It is something you must teach yourself through repetition, discipline, and patience. The habit of saving is not just about money, it is about identity. It is the daily act of telling yourself that your future matters more than your impulse. The reason most people never build wealth is not because they do not earn enough. It is because they spend everything they earn trying to feel better in the moment. The small purchases, the distractions, the quick rewards, all of them give a brief sense of comfort but no lasting value. Every time you choose temporary pleasure over purpose, you reinforce a mindset of scarcity. You tell your brain that satisfaction must come now because it might never come later. That belief is the root of financial struggle. Delaying pleasure does not mean denying joy. It means choosing peace over impulse. It means understanding that every decision carries a cost, and the true price of instant gratification is your long-term freedom. When you save instead of spending, you are not missing out. You are building leverage. You are creating space to move through life without fear. Saving is not restriction, it is preparation. It is quiet strength that grows in the background until one day it gives you control over your time, your choices, and your life. The habit of saving is a reflection of your relationship with self-control. It is a form of respect. When you save, you tell yourself that you are capable of managing power. You prove that you can hold on to what you earn instead of letting the world take it from you. This self-control compounds over time, not just in your finances, but in every area of your life. The discipline that keeps you from buying what you do not need is the same discipline that keeps you consistent in your goals. There is a deep satisfaction that comes from restraint. Most people never experience it because they have been trained to believe that comfort equals happiness. But real happiness comes from progress. The temporary rush of spending fades, while the quiet pride of saving lasts. Every time you choose to delay pleasure, you strengthen your ability to endure. You build the muscle that allows you to stay patient while others panic, and that patience becomes the foundation of wealth. Saving is also psychological. It trains your brain to value the long term. It shifts your focus from immediate reward to accumulated growth. The first time you save, it feels small and unimportant, but as the habit builds, it changes how you see money. You stop asking, "How much can I afford to spend?" and start asking, "How much can I afford to keep?" This small change in language transforms your behavior. You begin to see money as a tool, not a toy. You realize that every dollar has potential energy, the power to multiply if given time. To build this habit, you must create systems that make saving automatic. Relying on willpower alone is not enough. Willpower fades, but systems endure. Pay yourself first. Every time you earn, set aside a portion before you do anything else. It does not matter how small the amount is at first. What matters is that the action becomes automatic. Over time, your brain stops seeing saving as deprivation and starts seeing it as normal. Once that happens, wealth becomes inevitable. The habit of saving extends beyond money. It applies to energy, attention, and emotion. Every time you say no to meaningless entertainment, you are saving focus. Every time you walk away from conflict that drains you, you are saving peace. Every time you rest with intention instead of avoidance, you are saving strength. The same principle that builds financial wealth also builds mental and emotional wealth. Discipline in one area always strengthens the others. Delaying pleasure also teaches you to redefine reward. You stop needing constant excitement to feel alive. You start finding fulfillment in patience. The ability to wait calmly for what you are building is one of the rarest forms of power. Most people cannot handle it. They need noise, validation, and instant proof. But those who can stay steady in the silence are the ones who rise the highest. They understand that the longer the wait, the greater the reward. At first, saving will feel uncomfortable. You will feel the pull to spend, to reward yourself, to indulge a little because you think you deserve it. But remember, the momentary comfort you buy is nothing compared to the long-term peace you are creating. The first few months of restraint will test you, but once you begin to see the results, the feeling changes. Saving becomes addictive. Watching your discipline turn into freedom feels better than any impulse purchase ever could. You must remind yourself often that wealth is not built through luck or chance. It is built through daily restraint. Every time you delay pleasure, you are casting a vote for your future. Every time you save instead of spend, you are buying back control over your life. It does not matter how small the action is. What matters is that you repeat it until it becomes instinct. In time, you will notice something remarkable. The urge for instant gratification will fade. The need for comfort will weaken. You will find joy in the calm, satisfaction in simplicity, and power in patience. You will no longer need to chase pleasure because you will have created something far greater, peace of mind. The habit of saving and delaying pleasure is not about sacrifice. It is about mastery. It is about knowing that the slower you build, the stronger it lasts. Wealth built through patience is wealth that never leaves you. It is not just money. It is freedom, discipline, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you control your desires instead of being controlled by them. Chapter 7. The Invisible Years. Every journey worth taking begins in the shadows. These are the invisible years, the stretch of time where your effort feels unseen, your growth feels uncertain, and your results seem far away. This is the part of the process that breaks most people. They want recognition, progress, and proof that their work is paying off. When they do not see it, they assume nothing is happening. But something is always happening. Growth just hides before it reveals itself. The invisible years are where the foundation is built. When you decide to build wealth slowly, you enter a long season of quiet progress. You work when no one notices. You save when others spend. You study while others rest. The world rewards visible achievement, not silent preparation, so it will not clap for you yet. That silence can feel lonely. You might even doubt yourself, but if you can learn to stay calm in the unseen, you will be unstoppable once the results appear. The invisible years test your patience and faith more than your intelligence. They ask whether you truly believe in the process or only in the reward. Everyone says they want success, but few are willing to live through the long period where there is no applause. This is the stage where you build character, endurance, and identity. It is not glamorous, it is not exciting, but it is necessary. You are building the version of yourself who will be capable of holding wealth once it arrives. Most people do not fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they cannot handle invisibility. They confuse being unseen with being unsuccessful. They forget that even the most powerful forces in nature work in silence. Seeds grow underground long before they break the surface. Pressure builds mountains over centuries. Rivers carve valleys not through power, but through persistence. Wealth is no different. It takes years for the roots to grow before the world sees the results. If you find yourself in a season where it feels like no one notices your effort, understand that this is the most important phase of your growth. This is where your habits are being tested. This is where your discipline is being sharpened. The invisible years are not punishment. They are preparation. They are shaping you into someone who no longer needs external approval to keep moving. That is real power. You must learn to measure progress differently during this stage. Do not look for big wins. Look for consistency. Look for the moments when you show up, even when you do not feel like it. Look for the habits that are becoming automatic. The smallest daily improvement, repeated for years, will outperform any burst of short-term motivation. What you do in the quiet will always echo the loudest later. Patience during the invisible years is not passive. It is active, waiting. It means continuing to do the work, continuing to improve, and continuing to hold the vision even when nothing seems to change. Every day you stay consistent. You are depositing effort into an account that will eventually pay dividends. You cannot see the balance yet, but it is growing. When the time is right, it will compound faster than you imagine. There is a temptation during this stage to look for proof that the process is working. You might compare your progress to others, checking to see if you are moving fast enough. But comparison is a thief. It blinds you to your own growth. Everyone's timeline is different because everyone's foundation is different. Some people need longer to learn the lessons that will protect their success later. Do not resent your slow season. Respect it. It is teaching you what shortcuts never can. The invisible years also teach humility. When no one is watching, you have no reason to pretend. You are left with only your work and your will. This is where authenticity is built. You learn to do things for the right reasons, not for attention. You stop performing and start transforming. You stop needing others to believe in you because you finally believe in yourself. Every person who has ever built something meaningful went through a season of invisibility. Entrepreneurs who worked for years without profit. Artists who practiced in silence before their masterpiece. Athletes who trained before anyone knew their name. These invisible years are not wasted. They are sacred. They are the time when you plant the habits, beliefs, and systems that will sustain you when success finally arrives. When you are in this phase, trust that nothing is being wasted. Every book you read, every dollar you save, every small action you repeat is compounding beneath the surface. You may not see the results yet, but they are accumulating. One day, you will wake up and realize that what once felt impossible has become second nature. You will move with quiet confidence because you earned it in the years when no one saw your effort. The invisible years are a gift. They protect you from distractions. They give you space to experiment, to fail, and to learn without the weight of public opinion. They give you time to build mastery in peace before the pressure of visibility arrives. Once your work becomes visible, every flaw is amplified. The time to refine your craft is now, while you are still unseen. If you are walking through your invisible years, hold your ground. Keep showing up. Keep planting the seeds. One day, they will break through the surface, and everyone will wonder how you did it. They will not see the quiet mornings, the silent sacrifices, or the days when you wanted to quit. But you will know. You will remember the discipline it took to keep going, and that memory will become your greatest source of confidence. The invisible years separate those who wish from those who will. They test your belief, your patience, and your character. They ask if you can keep building when no one is clapping. If you can, then when your time comes, you will not just be ready for success, you will be built for it. Because real wealth is not about being seen. It is about being steady. And the only way to become steady is to survive the silence that everyone else avoids. Chapter 8. Mastering Boredom and Routine. There is a quiet truth that every disciplined person eventually discovers. Success is not about excitement, it is about endurance. The ability to do the same thing over and over again, long after the emotion has faded, is what separates those who rise from those who stall. People dream of adventure, of breakthroughs, of constant progress, but in reality, mastery looks repetitive. It looks like waking up, doing the same work, following the same routine, and refusing to stop when it feels dull. Most people never reach mastery because they cannot tolerate boredom. They confuse excitement with purpose. When the thrill disappears, they assume they are on the wrong path. They switch goals, change plans, or start something new, not realizing that every change resets their progress. Discipline demands repetition, and repetition demands boredom. If you can learn to stay steady when the feeling fades, you will win in ways others never will. Boredom is not a signal to quit. It is a signal that you are entering the deeper layers of growth. The mind resists repetition because it craves novelty, but success depends on rhythm, not randomness. Routine gives structure to chaos. It is the container that allows progress to compound. Without it, you drift. Without it, you lose track of time, direction, and focus. The people who master their routines do not rely on motivation. They rely on rhythm. You must learn to see boredom as proof of progress. Every great skill, every strong habit, every fortune ever built was born in boredom. It is the hidden cost of greatness. The hours you spend doing the same small thing are not wasted. They are the foundation that makes everything else possible. The results will not come immediately, but they are accumulating beneath the surface like pressure waiting to break through. If you can keep going when nothing feels exciting, you will eventually become unstoppable. Routine is not the enemy of creativity. It is the structure that gives creativity power. Most people wait for inspiration before they act. The disciplined act first, and through that action, they create inspiration. Consistency invites momentum, and momentum brings results. You do not need to feel ready every day. You only need to show up. Showing up transforms potential into progress. Routine turns what feels impossible into something ordinary. The secret is to make peace with monotony. When you accept that every meaningful goal requires repetition, the boredom loses its sting. You stop expecting life to feel exciting all the time. You start valuing peace over thrill, and peace is where mastery lives. The person who can work calmly through boredom can outlast anyone who relies on motivation. The mind that can find comfort in repetition becomes unshakable. Think of how nature builds strength. Rivers carve stone not through power, but through persistence. Trees grow taller not in leaps, but through seasons of slow, invisible work. Even your body builds muscle through repetition. The same movements over time create visible change. Routine works the same way. It is not glamorous, but it is powerful. When you give yourself to a simple, consistent pattern of work, you begin to see growth where others see only stillness. The danger of boredom is that it tempts you to abandon what is working. It makes you chase stimulation instead of results. You might feel the urge to change everything, to try something new, to speed things up, to make it more exciting. But every time you restart, you delay your reward. Progress loves consistency. The longer you stay on one path, the more momentum builds. When you chase variety, you lose traction. The greatest breakthroughs happen right after the point when you want to quit. You can turn routine into a source of peace by giving it meaning. Remind yourself why you are doing what you do. Every repetition is a vote for your future. Every day you stay consistent, you strengthen the identity you are building. When your actions align with your purpose, even the smallest tasks become sacred. Washing dishes, saving money, writing one more page, these are not chores. They are rituals of progress. The mind will still resist at times. It will whisper that you are not moving fast enough, that you should be doing more, that you should feel different. Ignore it. Growth rarely feels dramatic in real time. It feels steady, quiet, and uneventful. But one day you will look back and realize how far you have come. You will see that every day you repeated your routine, You were moving forward even when it felt like you were standing still. The mastery of boredom is also the mastery of emotion. It means learning to act without needing to feel inspired. It means doing what must be done even when no one is watching. That ability gives you power over your circumstances. You are no longer a slave to your feelings or the environment around you. You become the kind of person who can build anything because you have learned to keep going no matter what. When you live in routine long enough, something shifts inside you. You begin to appreciate the rhythm. You start to find beauty in repetition. What once felt dull becomes grounding. You feel calm, knowing that each day moves you closer to your vision. You do not need surprises. You only need consistency. This mindset is what creates freedom, because when your discipline becomes automatic, your success becomes predictable. Mastering boredom and routine is not about killing excitement. It is about replacing short bursts of motivation with steady peace. It is about learning to love progress that others cannot see. The world will always chase the next big thing. Let them. You are building something timeless, one quiet, ordinary day at a time. The moment you stop needing every day to feel exciting is the moment you start becoming unstoppable. Real power is found not in how fast you move, but in how long you can stay still and keep going. That is the secret of those who build wealth slowly. They fall in love with repetition. They honor their routine. They do not chase stimulation. They chase mastery. And in time, the world notices what patience built. Chapter 9. Let time do the heavy lifting. There's a point in every journey where effort alone is not enough. You can push, grind, and fight, but progress still moves at its own pace. This is where time steps in. Time is the most powerful ally you have in building wealth, yet most people treat it like an enemy. They want results now. They want proof that their work matters. But time rewards those who respect its rhythm. The secret to slow success is not more effort. It is patience long enough to let time do the heavy lifting. Time is invisible, yet it never stops working. Every habit, every decision, every repetition plants something beneath the surface. You cannot see the growth, but it is happening. When you invest consistently, whether in money, skill, or discipline, you are building invisible momentum. It starts slowly, because compound growth always looks small at first. But once it begins to multiply, it becomes unstoppable. The people who win in the long run are not always the smartest or strongest. They are the ones who stayed long enough to let time amplify their actions. The impatient mind cannot understand compounding. It looks for shortcuts. It wants faster returns and constant proof. But real wealth works in silence. The most powerful growth happens when you have nothing left to prove, only something to build. The first few years of effort always feel slow because the foundation is being formed. The deeper the roots, the stronger the structure. When you try to rush time, you weaken your foundation. When you trust time, you build something that lasts. Patience is not the absence of action. It is the discipline to keep acting without demanding immediate results. It means understanding that your work today might not pay off for months or even years, but you do it anyway because you trust the process. Most people quit right before time begins to reward them. They stop just before the compound curve takes off. That is why patience is so rare. It feels like nothing is happening until suddenly everything happens at once. Letting time work for you is a mindset. It is the belief that consistency is more powerful than intensity. The person who saves steadily for 10 years will always outgrow the one who invests sporadically with emotion. The same is true for every area of life. A writer who writes 1 page a day will produce more than someone who waits for inspiration. A craftsman who improves one skill at a time will outlast someone chasing trends. Time magnifies whatever you feed it. If you feed it discipline, it multiplies your strength. If you feed it impatience, it magnifies your mistakes. Time is the great equalizer. It does not care about background, education, or opportunity. It rewards those who respect it and punishes those who waste it. The difference between those who build lasting wealth and those who lose it is simple. One group lets time work for them. The other fights against it. Every choice you make either uses time or loses time. Every moment spent complaining, comparing, or chasing quick rewards steals from the compound effect you could be building. You must learn to think in decades, not days. Most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10. The power of time lies in its quiet compounding. A single good decision repeated for years will outperform any burst of effort made in panic. But to see that truth, you must detach from the noise of urgency. The world glorifies speed, but wealth belongs to those who can wait. Time also teaches humility. It shows you that no matter how much control you try to exert, certain things simply need to unfold at their own pace. You cannot rush maturity, trust, mastery, or growth. You can only create the conditions for them and wait. When you learn to surrender to time, life becomes lighter. You stop forcing outcomes and start nurturing them. That shift changes everything. You begin to see patience as a form of power instead of weakness. Letting time do the heavy lifting does not mean doing nothing. It means focusing on what you can control, your effort, your attitude, your preparation, and letting time handle the rest. You cannot control the harvest, but you can control the planting. You cannot control the market, but you can control your consistency. The moment you stop fighting for instant outcomes, your stress decreases and your productivity improves. You no longer need to win today because you understand that you are building something that will win forever. There will be seasons when progress feels slow, when it seems like time is working against you. But that is an illusion. Every second that passes while you stay disciplined is a second working in your favor. The delay is not denial, it is development. The space between effort and reward is where character forms. That is the part time uses to make sure you are ready for the success you are building. Think of time as a silent business partner. It is always working behind the scenes, multiplying your effort while you sleep. The interest on your savings grows without you touching it. Your skills sharpen quietly through repetition. Your habits strengthen simply by being repeated. You do not have to see it to know it is happening. Time always keeps its promise to those who keep theirs. When you finally understand this, your relationship with time changes. You stop fearing it. You stop feeling behind. You start appreciating the slow pace because you realize that every extra year of patience adds depth and security to your success. You are no longer in a race. You are in alignment. That is where real wealth lives, in the peace of knowing that time is on your side. The ones who master wealth are not the ones who rush. They are the ones who wait with purpose. They keep moving steadily, quietly, patiently. They trust that their small, consistent actions will one day create something magnificent. Letting time do the heavy lifting is not about doing less. It is about doing what matters most and giving it enough time to grow. Because when patience and discipline meet time, the results are inevitable. And when that day comes, when everything you built slowly begins to bloom, you will understand why it had to take this long. You will look back and realize that time was never the obstacle. It was the architect. It was shaping you, testing you, and multiplying every effort you made. The slow path was never a delay. It was the plan all along. Chapter 10. The Wealth Mindset That Never Dies. Wealth is not a destination. It is a way of thinking that continues long after the money is earned. The real purpose of building wealth slowly is not to collect possessions, but to transform who you are. Once you develop the mindset that creates wealth, it never leaves you. Even if you lose everything, you can rebuild it. Because true wealth is not in what you own, it is in what you know, what you practice, and who you have become. The wealth mindset is grounded in patience, discipline, and trust. It rejects the illusion of quick success and embraces the slow compounding of effort. It does not chase what is easy or trendy. It focuses on what lasts. People who build wealth this way are not just financially secure, they are emotionally free. Their peace does not depend on markets or opportunities. It comes from knowing that they have mastered the principles that keep them growing no matter what happens. The first trait of this mindset is clarity. Wealthy thinkers do not drift. They know exactly what they are building and why. They see time as their greatest ally, not their enemy. Every decision they make is measured against a long-term vision. They think in decades, not days. This clarity protects them from distractions because they no longer chase what glitters, they pursue what compounds. The second trait is restraint. The wealth mindset is not about how much you can earn, but how much you can keep. It is about mastering emotion, resisting impulse, and delaying pleasure long enough to see results. You cannot grow anything if you keep uprooting it. Every time you act from impatience, you rob your future self of peace. Wealthy thinkers move with intention. They do not spend to impress. They do not work to prove. They work to build something that will outlive them. The third trait is adaptability. Wealth is a living system. Markets change, opportunities evolve, and circumstances shift. The people who stay wealthy are those who stay flexible. They are not rigid about methods. They are committed to principles. They understand that failure is not the opposite of wealth. It is part of it. Every setback teaches a lesson that compounds into future strength. The wealth mindset treats every loss as tuition, not tragedy. The fourth trait is humility. Wealthy minds know that time is always smarter than they are. They do not fight it, they cooperate with it. They let patience do what impatience destroys. They know that growth takes time because people take time. They are not seduced by fast outcomes because they have seen what slow mastery produces. Humility keeps them grounded when success arrives. It prevents arrogance, which is the silent destroyer of all progress. The fifth trait is gratitude. Gratitude is the anchor that keeps wealth from becoming greed. It reminds you that the goal of building abundance is not to hoard, but to create space, to have enough to give, to live freely without fear. The wealthy mindset sees money as a tool for impact, not as a measure of worth. When you build from gratitude, every step feels complete because you are already fulfilled by the act of becoming. To build this mindset, you must let go of the idea that wealth is about arrival. It is about alignment. The person who earns slowly, consistently, and with peace is already wealthy, even before the money appears. Their habits, their patience, and their values guarantee that success will follow. That is why some people lose everything and rise again. Their wealth was never external, it was internal. When you think this way, you stop fearing loss. You understand that even if circumstances strip away what you have, they cannot take away who you are. You have become the kind of person who can rebuild, recreate, and start over with calm confidence. That is the ultimate form of wealth, the power to begin again without breaking. The wealth mindset also transforms your relationship with time. You no longer rush through life trying to arrive somewhere. You start to enjoy the process because you know that every small, patient act is building something greater than what can be seen. You stop measuring progress by speed and start measuring it by direction. Every moment of discipline, every act of restraint, every quiet effort adds up. You begin to notice that wealth has nothing to do with comparison. You do not compete with others. You outgrow them through consistency. The more you master patience, the less you need validation. The more you master routine, the more power you gain over your future. You realize that most people chase money to feel free, while the wealthy mindset makes you free before the money comes. To keep this mindset alive, you must protect it from noise. The world will always tempt you to abandon it. You will be told to move faster, to spend more, to want bigger things. But every time you stay still, save quietly and wait calmly, you strengthen your foundation. The person who protects peace over pride will always win in the end. The wealth mindset that never dies is not built on emotion, but on understanding. It understands that patience multiplies effort, that consistency compounds quietly, and that simplicity is power. It understands that the point of wealth is not to live louder, but to live freer. It knows that the more control you have over your desires, the more control you have over your destiny. In the end, wealth is not about how much you accumulate, it is about how much you evolve. Every habit you build, every temptation you resist, every decision you make with clarity instead of chaos brings you closer to freedom. You will know you have truly built wealth when you can look at your life and feel peace, even in stillness. Because real wealth is not measured by numbers. It is measured by how calm you remain when the world is rushing, and how consistent you remain when no one is watching. When you live this way, your wealth becomes immortal. It will outlive your circumstances. It will influence how you think, how you work, and how you love. It will become a legacy of discipline, wisdom, and purpose. That is the wealth mindset that never dies, the quiet power that keeps building, no matter what life takes away.